This is the video for number 13 from the Chapter 1 Part 2 quiz review. The problem reads, if f of x equals negative x squared plus 12x minus 3, g of x equals 3x minus 4, and h of x equals 2x squared plus 13x plus 6, find the following. Letter A, we have g of f of 1. Let's take it now and let's do f of 1, right? This is composition of functions. Remember, we'll start on the inside and do what we can do. So we're going to find f of 1, which means our input into function f is 1. So we're using our function up here, right? So wherever we see our x, we're going to put in a 1. So the opposite of 1 squared plus 12 times 1 minus 3. Okay, so 1 squared is 1, so that becomes a negative 1. Plus 12 minus 3, and we get in the end here that when we plug in 1 into function f, we get, what is that going to be, 8, positive 8. Okay, so we know that our output is 8. Now, since f of 1, right, is equal to 8, that means we can take 8 and substitute it in for f of 1. So what that means is we're looking at g of 8. So we're going to plug in 8 into function g. So it'll say 3 times 8 minus 4, which ends up being 24 minus 4, which is 20. So g of f of 1 ends up equaling 20. Looking at letter B, it says find x when f of x equals 17. So in this one, right, since we know f of x equals 17, and up above we know f of x equals negative x squared plus 12x minus 3, since f of x equals this and f of x equals that, this and that have to be equal to each other. So we'll take that and we will set them equal in an equation. So negative x squared plus 12x minus 3 equals 17. And if it's me, I would prefer to have my x squared be positive, so I would just move everything to the right side and set it equal to 0. So I'm adding an x squared to each side. I'm going to rewrite it here, though, with it on the left side. So that'd be x squared. I would subtract 12x from each side, so I'd have minus 12x. And then I would add 3 to each side, which would give me plus 20 is equal to 0. That should end up factoring for us. Factors of 20 that add to 12, obviously 10 and 2. So we've got x minus 10, x minus 2, which means that x could equal 10 and x could equal 2. So we have 2 answers for that one. All right, letter C, back to functions, our function notation, and we have another composition, right? So on this one, we have f of g of 1. So we need to start on the inside with this one. Now we're going to plug in 1 into g first. So if I take 1 and I plug it into function g, I'm going to have g of 1 is going to equal 3 times 1 minus 4. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 4 gives us negative 1. So we have g of 1 equals negative 1. And again, we're going to take that negative 1 and we're going to replace g of 1 and plug it in there. So we have now f of negative 1 is going to equal the opposite of negative 1 squared plus 12 times negative 1 minus 3. Well, negative 1 squared is 1, and then we take the opposite, so negative 1 minus 12, and then minus 3 is going to give us a negative 16. So we get f of negative 1 equals negative 16, and that's what f of g of 1 should equal. So negative 16. All right, now we'll go down to letter D, and they're looking for us to do some operations in function notation. So we have f of x plus h of x. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to substitute the expression that f of x equals in for it. So since we know that f of x really equals negative x squared plus 12x minus 3, and h of x is really equal to 2x squared plus 13x plus 6, right? So instead of adding this plus this, we are going to end up adding this plus this. So I'm going to go ahead and just do it longhand here, right? Or longhand's like vertically. So, normally we add f of x and h of x, we'd add them. Okay, so that's like the same thing as saying negative x squared plus 2x squared, which would be x squared. 12x plus 13x is going to give us 25x. And then negative 3 plus 6 is going to give us a positive 3. So f of x plus h of x equals x squared plus 25x plus 3. And that's our answer. All right, letter E, we have h of negative 3. So we're going to take negative 3 and we're going to substitute it in as our input into our function h. So h of negative 3 is going to equal 2 times negative 3 squared plus 13 times negative 3 plus 6. And just take your time simplifying it down. Negative 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. 3 times 13 is 39, and since one of them is negative, it would be minus 39. And then we have a plus 6. Well, 18 minus 39 should be, what is that? Negative 21. And then we add 6 to that. That would be a negative 15. So h of negative 3 is equal to negative 15. Well, that last one there, I didn't put that up here, but that's what that equals. And then our last one, we've got another composition. Now we've got that we're plugging into three things. So we've got, starting out, f of 0. So if I start out with f of 0, I'm going to say f of 0 is going to equal the opposite of 0 squared plus 12 times 0 minus 3. Okay, so that should end up giving us negative 3. So f of 0 is equal to negative 3, right? And so we'll take that now. So that is going to end up looking like now h of negative 3, right? This is really negative 3. So we'll do h of negative 3 next, which is, oh shoot, did I put that in the wrong one? No, I put it in the right one. H is the 2x squared one. So we have 2 times negative 3 squared plus 13 times negative 3 plus 6. So that's 18. And then we have minus 39. I feel like I already did this. Did I do this on a different one? Oh well, whether I did or didn't, here we go. So that ends up being negative 15. Yes, that looks familiar. That was the last problem. Good job, Mr. Boyd. Way to make it easier on the kids. Right? That it works. And then we're going to take that now, right? So since h of negative 3 equals negative 15, we're going to plug that in to function g. So we're going to say g of negative 15. And now we've got 3 times negative 15 minus 4. That's negative 45 minus 4, which is negative 49. So that g of negative 15 is equal to negative 49, and that's what our composition equals in the end there. We'd end up with negative 49. All right, so that is just a little review on some composition of functions and function notation. If you have questions, please make sure you ask. Thanks.